you've been to some far places. It's hard to carry on when you feel all alone. Now I've swung back down again. It's worse than it was before. If I hadn't seen such...
And it's Thierry Henry. And Henry is magnificent. It's absolutely magnificent. And when you need a goal, you need Thierry Henry.
Something change pace through the centre. It's Bergkamp. That's magnificent.
Afternoon, everyone. Kenny's having a few issues with the StreamYard link, so he's going to try and get in. I don't know if he'll be able to, but for some reason the link I sent him is not working. So Lee's got involved with it. But yeah, it's not working at the moment, so I don't know what's going down there. But anyway, we're going to have a chat about, will we get the players that we actually need? Because it seems to me this is just Arsenal PR as bloody usual. We're linked to all these players. We don't actually truly bid for them. In the fact of, you know, we for quite a while we wanted Bissouma, but then Tottenham come in and sneak him away from us behind our backs, which is, you know, bloody annoying. Rafinha, I don't honestly ever believe that Rafinha wanted to come to Arsenal. I think he's been hanging out. He wants to go to Barcelona. Chelsea have basically outbid us. I don't honestly think, I read something this morning, he doesn't really want to go to Chelsea. He's hanging out for Barcelona. Now, whether Barcelona can actually stump up the money, I don't know. But that's, I think, his dream destination. So I can't see. I don't think that's going to happen. While we're waiting, if Kenny can get in, I don't know. Go through some of what your views are. And we'll start with Diego. Yes, yeah, Diego, nice to see you, my friend. You've mentioned a few important points here. As it stands, Spurs 4 players signed for 95 mil, Liverpool 3, 91 mil, Man City 2, 51.1, Leeds United 3, 45 mil, Arsenal 3 players, 44.5 mil, and Aston Villa 4, 43 mil, and you've got your source from Sky Sports. So I'd say that's pretty much correct. The thing is that I find odd is that there's a lawful. I saw a post the other day. There was some fella saying he reckons that Edu's having a golden transfer window. Is he really? Is he really having that great a window? I mean, we're linked to players. We don't get them. You know, it's typical Arsenal. We're linked to just about every player in Europe and nothing happens. So, you know, this is what I find frustrating. We know we need to improve the squad. We need another striker. We need an attacking midfielder. But we seem to be continually going around in circles, just looking at, in my book, the wrong players. I really do believe that. And Darren Sullivan, good to see you, mate. We're going to win FL. You know you're going to believe us. We're going to win FL. Well, the way we go, my friend, I can see that. And Darren says again, time to go, Mikel. You're falling your way to millions every year equals fraud. Yep, absolutely. And as Darren says again, we are not even in the Champions League, let alone win it. Fraud. I mean, yeah, classic statement, wasn't it, from Arteta? We're going to win the Champions League within 3 years. Well, we're not in it. So that's, to me, a failure. You make a bold statement like that, and yet we're not even in the Champions League. Is madness. Kenny's here. Kenny is here. Hang on. Let's get Kenny in.
Can you hear me?
Hey,
You hear
mate.
me?
Yeah,
You hear
yeah,
me?
yeah.
Yes, I'm so sorry. It was a complete and utter F up, but you know what's happened, right? Thanks to you, Elite, you sorted me out like I knew you would, and I'm very, very grateful. I will never mess up with computers again. As you know, I'm crap at computers, but you know it was. I panicked, and then I made Safari my default browser. Then I went on to, and I've made Chrome my supported browser, so everything's in Chrome. So that's all
Yeah.
sorted now. So
Yeah,
I'm
I
sorry
have
about being late.
No, worries, mate. It's all right. I haven't really got just talking about. I haven't started talking about individual stuff. What I was saying
Don't worry.
is that let's get your view. Arsenal are linked to just about everybody. We don't sign anybody, and I just
That's
said,
Arsenal for you.
sorry.
That's Arsenal for you, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we were interested in Basuma. Tottenham nicked him off us. Rafinha, I said, I don't believe he ever wanted to come to Arsenal. I think his dream destination is Barcelona.
Yes.
And we're going to get into some other players that I've heard about this morning. And I've done some research on them. I had no idea who they were. But the other classic post I saw, Kenny, I think you saw it as well, was some person out there has stated that this Edu's having a golden transfer window.
Is he?
Really?
Is he?
Yeah.
Is he?
I don't
That's
think so.
interesting. That's interesting. Because, at the moment, nothing's been. He's talking to players, but nothing's been concrete. Like,
No.
Jesus is yet to be announced. Rafinha, although Deco would prefer Rafinha to go to Barcelona, and they're waiting for Barcelona to have the funds to match Chelsea's offer, because Chelsea are the only team really to have matched Leeds' valuation. Arsenal and Barcelona are still in the frame, so it's all about persuasion, maybe the Brazilian angle. But a Brazilian player's dream, if you listen to Tim Vickery, who's the best and most reliable source expert on South American football, especially Brazilian football, works for BBC, lives in South America and Brazil. There is nothing that Tim Vickery doesn't know about Brazilian football. In fact, he's forgotten more about Brazilian and South American football than anyone in the world will ever know. And he's saying that, the dream move is for our guy to go to Barcelona, which is, Rafinha. But Arsenal still in the frame, but Chelsea the only one met in the valuation. Because his words were that, obviously, talking to Deco, when he was at Chelsea, didn't enjoy his time. And he said that London's a good place to visit, but not to live. Whether Rafinha is going to be influenced by that or not, you don't know, because the name of the game for any Brazilian player is to make sure that they make Tiche squad for the World Cup, which is in November. So obviously, Richarlison's gone to Tottenham, but where is he going to play in the front three? So those are the sort of things that Arsenal are doing. Obviously, Tielemans as well. I'm hearing rumours as well that we lost interest in Tielemans, but we've agreed personal terms. So, in terms of transfer window, negotiations are taking place. But let's face it, nothing's happened, and it hasn't been a good transfer window. It hasn't even been average. It's just been cold, really, because we know the only thing we know is it's concrete is Marquinhos and Vieira, and obviously Trusty and Turner, which we knew about. What's that?
And Fabio Vieira is injured already.
Yes, I saw the surgical boot as well. So I don't know how he got injured, or maybe perhaps he had an injury when he actually signed him. So he's passed the medical, and they probably thought that. Well, they probably thought, right, it's only he may be ready for the start of the season. It's just maybe it's precautionary, but he's got a surgical boot. So again, compared to other clubs, it's been so far in the last. When was the transfer window open in June? Poor transfer window so far. For me, it's not good.
This is, as you quite rightly said, Kenny. This is the Arsenal way. I mean, Gabriel Jesus, we signed him. We've seen, pictures of him at the Emirates in his full Arsenal kit, and he's still not been announced. Why do we do this? Why
Your guess is as good as mine. It could be, it could be a situation where, it could be done tomorrow or during the week. Maybe it was part of a video. Maybe they're going to get, maybe someone from, who knows? Maybe they might get the young lad Frimpong to interview him. They might get Ian Wright to give him a shot. I don't know. Maybe it's all sort of part of the production. Because as far as I know, it's not going to be a part of the production for the, well, they call it the all or nothing. I just call it good for nothing. I call it good for nothing because all these kind of dockies, you don't get the real sense of what's going on. You only get what the club want to give you, and obviously because we're in an entertainment business, I'm going to give you a little bit, but not the full, a version of events. But for me, that's the only explanation I can see because it was clearly him in that, video that was released by everyone on Instagram, including myself.
Yeah. Right. The thing is, let's be honest, this is Arsenal Football Club. I'm sure they can if they want to get Ian Wright to give him his shirt, or they want Frimpong to actually interview him. I'm sure they could do that in a day.
Yeah. Oh no, but I think it's all about production now. I think what's happening right now is that everything's changing now. Arsenal wants to make sure it's a massive, massive production, get the best people in the business, people who work in those sort of things, and make a massive, massive show about it, and then present him. And we think it's going to be live, but it's something that's maybe it's in pre-production. That's the only thing I can think about because they're going to want to go on the Arsenal website. They're going to want it to go to BT Sport, Sky, BBC, every channel that in this country, in the UK, and probably around the world that that has access to professional football in this country. So they're going to want to make a massive deal of it because let's face it, the way people are talking about the football club and the way people are talking about it on Twitter, although nothing official's come out, this is Arsenal's marquee signing. Yeah. There's no way of it because that's the way I saw him get paraded and the way the time it's taken. I can only think that they want to make a massive, massive show of it to present the guy who's going to score 25 goals a season and who's going to make sure the fans are going to relax and feel, oh, thank God I renewed my season ticket. I'm really looking forward to the season because we've now got Gabriel Jesus in our squad. That's how the club's going to present it.
Yeah. Let's talk about this fella, Lisandro Martinez from Ajax.
Yes.
Man United have upped their offer, 39.6 million. Again, we're interested in this guy, but do we really, Kenny? I mean, this is the point I find so frustrating. Mm-hmm. Do we really go in with strong bids? Because it seems to me, and we've done it for year after year after year. We did it with Suarez, that joke, isn't it? 40 mil plus a quid. But do our representatives truly go in strong enough and fight, actually sit down, bang the table and say, right, we really want this kid. How much do you want? I don't believe we do, mate. What's your view on it?
I think what Arsenal do is that they bang the table in what clubs see to be a negative way. Arsenal seems to have this sort of paranoia that everyone seems to be want to take advantage of them, and everyone wants to sort of like swindle them out of the last few pennies. And that's why they go with low bids. They probably got this kind of chip in their shoulder and thinking, right, a lot of clubs are going to try and raise the pounds because it's us, because we haven't been in the Champions League for 6 years. They think we're desperate. We missed out, in real terms, by a whisker to get in the top four. So when Arsenal come calling, the price is going to have to go up. And that's probably the Arsenal's mentality because, whenever you hear Arsenal football clubs, talk, after signing, they'll say, we were only going to go for a player if we really, really want him. And it's something that we have to be in conjunction with our manager. And we're not going to go and overpay for a player. And that's been the buzzwords of Arsenal during the Wenger years. It was definitely during the George Graham years. In fact, it's always been the case at Arsenal. I think when people criticise Kroenke, I think people need to know the history of our great club, that we've always had the money. No doubt we've had the money, but what's happened is that we don't like going to bidding wars. We certainly don't like what we believe to be playing after the odds. And I think that's the situation with Arsenal, is that, we've always been like that. And we've been like this for hours. You only have to look at 2 years ago with the situation with Houssam Aouar, where Lyon had a set price, Arsenal didn't meet the valuation and missed out. And it's the same thing that's, it seems to be happening with Rafinha, and it's going to happen with Martinez as well. It's an Arsenal thing. Arsenal say they really want a player, but they say they're never going to play over the odds. Well, Arsenal to realise right now is that you say all of that, 5 years down the line, you succumb to that. You do, do that eventually, because Arsenal can never ever say they never have the money, because they've, in the last, I say, 9 years, they've broken their transfer record on quite a few times. They broke their transfer record with Mesut Ozil. They broke their transfer record with Lacazette. They broke the transfer record with Aubameyang, and they broke their transfer record with Pepe. Remember, Arsenal paid. Doesn't matter whether you say whether we paid in instalments, for a kind of a sort of a payment plan. The fact is, Arsenal have proved that they can pay £72 million for a player, and that if you go 70 million, there's no problem with Arsenal going to 80, because that is the going rate if they really, really want the player. So again, you have to ask yourselves, why do Arsenal always do this? Why do Arsenal always go in a low bid, knowing full well they're part of an auction? This guy, apparently, we need him because he can play at various positions. We know we're short in midfield, so he can be someone who could help out in the midfield, play maybe holding midfielder. We know we're very, very short at left back now. Regardless of the fact that we know Tierney's not going to be reliable. We know Tavares is not good enough, so we're probably going to want cover there. And obviously, centre back, even though he's about 5'9", 5'10", Arteta was obsessed with left-footed centre backs, just like his compatriot at Man City. It seems like nowadays in football, because teams are so, in my opinion, intent on having ball playing centre halves, rather than them heading the ball, clearing their lines, tackling and marking. They want them to start attacks from where they are. So it's imperative that, I suppose, one's right-footed, he can pass. The other one's left-footed, he can pass. And I think that's why we look at the player. But the fact is, if you really, really wanted him and you really think that he's going to cover all those positions, pay the going rate. Ajax ain't fools. If you're going to decimate Ajax's team, which a lot of clubs have done over the years, every club that's taken a player from Ajax has met Ajax's valuation. Man United met the valuation with, like, I think Van der Vaart. No. I think, what's his name again? Van der Beek. They met his valuation. Ziyech's valuation was met. De Ligt's valuation was met, and so was De Jong. All those players left Ajax to go to bigger clubs, and all the clubs met the Ajax's valuation. So Ajax are not going to, give Arsenal any sort of leeway. So, well, right, we've got we met every other club's valuation was met, but because it's you, Arsenal, no, we'll give you a discount. It's not happening. It's not happening. No. That team that nearly won, that should have got to the Champions League final 2019, has been decimated. So they're going to want money in order to rebuild that squad.
The other thing is, you touched on a player that I was going to talk about, Pepe. I see that the player, our record signing, £72 million. And Arsenal are rumours they're struggling to find a team to buy him for 25. Now, what kind of business is that? I mean, we would, all of us, Lee, you, I, will always say we honestly believe Pepe would go this transfer window. He's clearly not wanted by Arteta.
Yes.
He's made that obvious. But 25 million when we paid 72.
It happens a lot in football. I think what's happening, players do lose their valuation, especially, players that players who record signings who don't play football. The fact is, there's a lot of clubs who are going to want Pepe, but the problem we always have with Arsenal is whenever we let a player go, or think of letting him go, the biggest stumbling block is the player's wages.
Yes.
And the other stumbling block is transfer fees, because there's a massive mile between what an Arsenal player earns and what a club that he's prepared to go to is going to be able to pay him. And especially if they're going to leagues outside the Premiership, especially in the French league, there's no way someone in France will be able to afford his wages. The same thing that there is no way that someone in France is going to want to pay that transfer fee. We only have to look at Guendouzi, a player that we all thought at a football club would have been worth 5 times more than what we've sold him for. But we're desperate to sell. Marseille want him, but Marseille can't. I'm not even want to try to meet our valuation. They're certainly not going to want to meet the valuation of salaries. And I think that is a problem with Nicola finding a club. I think I'll change my words. There's no problem in finding a club. He's a fantastic footballer of great natural technical ability. But in order to secure a club, that's going to be a problem. But Arsenal have to be, I think two sides have got to be realistic. Arsenal have to be realistic in terms of what they're selling for. And I think 25 to 30 million is realistic. In terms of his salary, that's up to Nicola Pepe. He has to be prepared to take a pay cut if the clubs, I think, they're going to come for him. He played clubs in, probably Spain and definitely back in France. There's no way they're going to, afford his wages or want to pay him that.
That's true. I was going to say happy birthday to Taib in the chat. Birthday today.
Happy birthday, Taib.
Yeah, young man. 37, I believe, is it? Have a great day, my friend. And let's
have a great day, mate.
We can do some decent business and cheer you up. Right, Andy 85. Arteta is disgraced not playing Pepe. What a waste! Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. It's shocking. I mean, it does to me. I'm sorry. It just shows to me the arrogance of the man. It really does. It's my way or the highway.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. 1991 ABZ, 2 legends. Yeah, well, we are getting older. And Luca AFC, nice to see you, my friend. Lisandro Martinez going United. Yeah, it looks like it. But why is it Arsenal can't not put more bids in? Go pay 45, 50 mil, even if he isn't worth, just pay it. Yeah, well, that's as Teddy's just said, mate. You have
to do it. You have to do it because I think with Arsenal is that, it's hard to sort of like say, oh, it's a Kroenke, they don't spend money. I think what's happening right now is that I think every Arsenal manager would have had an issue with the, like meeting clubs valuations. Graham, when George Graham first came to the football club, where we won an excellent run in the 86-87 season, we went about 25 games unbeaten.
Yeah,
we were top of the league from about like late November to about January. And one of the things that people were saying, Arsenal have to buy, because we were relying very much on Martin Hayes and Niall Quinn. So people during booking were saying buy. Arsenal didn't buy that season, probably costed the championship. Then the season afterwards, we rectified that with buying Alan Smith. And I think I'm sure Bruce Rioch will have a tail as well, although he wasn't that long. And I'm sure there's times when Arsene, might have had the same situation as well. Arsene was very much a club man. He went along with evaluation. Everyone thinks it was Arsene, and 50-60% of it was Arsene. The other 40% would have been the club hierarchy itself. You know what I mean? I'm sure there were times when, I'm sure, in fact, I'm convinced that, David Dean would have had massive battles with the club he's running. Because, at Arsenal, it's very much the Bank of England, and they're never going to want to spend money, that silly money, just because other clubs are doing it. So there were times when David Dean had to win quite a few battles as the majority shareholder. So it's the Arsenal thing. It's not just a Kroenkes. It's something that Arsenal have always been famed for. You know, everyone says, what's Arsenal's DNA? I tell you, never pay over the odds. Would never pay what they believe are over the odds. That's the DNA of a great club.
But by the way, Kenny, I'm on the old blackcurrant today.
Oh, brilliant.
I've joined you. Bit too early for a glass of wine in my book. But the great point here, Nathan Minus has made. Find it amazing that we paid 50 million for Ben White, but we aren't prepared to spend the extra 15, 20 mil to get Rafinha.
Well, see, that's the thing. One of the reasons why Ben White's valuation met, it's a player that was getting excellent reports, not just from his time at Brighton last, the season, what I call the lockdown season, but obviously when he went on loan to Leeds, Leeds fans was kind of like screaming about his talents a lot. So he was a very coveted player. Then he went and got, a few England caps with Gareth Southgate. I think, made a few squads. I think he made the squad for the Euro 2021. So that put his value up. So Arsenal couldn't get away from that. They couldn't even haggle, because the fact is, English players, do have a valuation. The minute they get capped by the national side, that's a set evaluation. You can't haggle on that. You just can't do that. You can haggle with players from abroad, or players from abroad who play here, but English players, it seems to be like the situation, an unspoken rule that pay the valuation. Hence the fact I suspect Arsenal don't really like going for English players, because they know that they can't haggle and get them on the cheap.
True. So I'm going to talk about this guy, Kenny. I only saw this morning on Sky. Player Amadou Onana. He's Belgian, and he plays for Lille. Last season in Liga 1, he had 32 matches, 1 goal. Champions League, 9 games, no goals. French Cup, 2 games and 2 goals. Apparently we linked with him, age 20, so he's perfect for Project Youth, isn't he?
Oh, 100% he's perfect for that, because the simple reason is that, one thing that the club are going to sell to us is the experience. The fact that, he has played a lot of games in France, in the League 1. Lille, despite the fact being like not a massive name in European circles, it is a recognisable name in European circles.
Yeah.
Lille have done well in La Ligue, and they have, before the silly money was spent on what I call silly money was spent on PSG, Lille have, bloodied a few noses in France. I think, didn't they win the league in one of the seasons where Unai Emery was the manager? So, that is a recognised name. Another thing as well, as you said, it's 20 years old. Over the years we have got players from La Ligue. The fact is that because he's the African guys, and they're physical, that it wouldn't take long for them to adapt to the physicality of our league. We like buying these sort of players, but most importantly, if this guy comes good, we can sell him and value him a massive profit as part of the business. So
he's certainly looked a big lad, 6'5"-ish, something like that.
Yeah, exactly. He meets all the criteria that Arsenal are looking for in that situation, and he'd be a squad player as well, because at the end of the day, whether Arsenal like it or not, they're going to play a lot more games, So maybe there's a ready-made excuse for Mikel to say, "Oh, if we don't get top 4, players were knackered."
And of course, we've got to leave it back.
Yeah. So that's it. So again, it's another one of these players. Is that everyone says that they heard that Saliba is going to get a shirt number next season, and the blah blah. We see this all the time. We know that William is going to do the preseason with us, probably play through preseason games, but our first choice is invariably going to be Ben White and Gabriel and William would be chomping a bit and say, right, don't want to play me, I'm off.
I did read this morning that I forget the name of the club. Some club is interested in Gabriel.
Yeah, you always say, I think what's happening, you always hear the sort of like rumours, isn't it? Like if we go for a player, they always try to make Gabriel part of the swap deal. You know what I mean? But Gabriel, is going to be one of the biggest pork chops he leaves Arsenal. The reason why, the fact is, no Brazilian player is going to want to go to leave a club and not be sure of first team football. We all got 26-man squads. Everyone knows in Brazil that the amount of players they can choose from are unbelievable, to the extent that some of their players, and I say this respectfully, change nationalities. How many Brazilian players now play for Italy? We've seen a Brazilian player play for Poland. We've seen a Brazilian player play for Russia. And we've seen a couple play for Spain. So what will happen? What will happen is that it's hard to get in that squad. Deco, Brazilian, plays for Portugal. So it's at a premium. I think any Brazilian player now, if you're buying him or wanting to sell him, you have to guarantee him first team football virtually for him to go, or for him to come to your club, or for him to do the Frank.
Apparently, George says it's Juventus that's interested in Gabriel. So
exactly, because obviously the reason why they're going to be interested in, because there's strong rumours that De Ligt is going to be is coveted by Chelsea, because obviously Chelsea want to replace Rudiger. So if De Ligt, they spent a lot of money, because they said De Ligt was going to be the best defender in the world. To probably think he's the best defender in the world at the moment. He's only 22, but he was bought for a massive price from Ajax. He had a choice of Ajax or Barcelona. He had Barcelona and Juventus. He went to Juventus, so he'll be a straight replacement, me thinks, for De Ligt.
Yeah, let's talk. So there's another chap I see this morning, Alex Grimaldo, Valencia. Sorry, he was born in Valencia. He plays for Benfica. It says here he's a left back.
Yeah, he's 26. He's 26. It was funny to say that, because I speak to loads of people on Instagram, and good people, loyal people, and the first time it came to my attention was when it was mentioned that he's a left back, and I was asking for his stats. I got his stats, normal stats, but he's a player that I asked for more information. I said, well, how old is he? And he said, yeah, the guy's 26. And they said, yeah, one of the things about signing left back is that, I think, was there a guy called Hickey?
Yeah,
Hickey from Aberdeen. Yeah, I think we were in like, as a young lad, but everyone's, a lot of people got a lot of time for him in Scotland.
Aaron Hickey, isn't it?
Aaron Hickey. Yeah. So this guy had, the guy Grimaldo as well. Yeah. He, again, I haven't watched much of him, but my criteria is I don't want a massive gap between him and Tierney, because remember, the gap between Tavares and Tierney was massive, because Tavares has just got no experience. He's a very raw player, and it's sad indictment on Arsenal, really, because over the years we had a tradition of from really, really good left backs. McNabb, 71, Sammy Nelson, Kenny Sampson, Nigel Winterburn, Silvino, Ashley Cole, and then after that, the standards kind of went down.
Yeah.
So reason why we like Kieran Tierney is because we feel he's in the tradition of the solid, excellent left backs we've had, since Ashley Cole. But those players were mentioned, and when I look at hear about the lad from Benfica, the first thing I want is I want the gap reduced from him and then Kieran Tierney. It's like the same thing, Monreal. There was when Monreal came to the club, he wasn't the greatest, but he could play left back. He's one of the players that I've always had a lot of time for, a lot of affection for, because he was solid. He gave everything for a great club. if anyone wants to sort of like have any songs or any monuments, build them for him. And when we look at Gramondo, I pray that he's in that kind of mould. I haven't seen much of him, but if he is a natural Monreal, someone who could start off as a good understudy for Tierney and then maybe get around the side and make us feel we don't miss him, then I'm all for it. But I ain't gonna lie, he has got one thing I do like the fact he's 26.
Yeah.
He's got years in the game, so that would help. But I have to have a look at him to make a decision. But again, I don't want the gap too big between him and Kieran Tierney, because if it is, then it's going to be a disaster for us.
Jack Ramsey's made a good point here. Nice to see you, man.
Oh, Jack.
Yeah, it's got him the first game of the season, haven't we? Jez,
he's looking forward to it, isn't it?
Yeah. Jez, the thing is, Arsenal used to buy who they wanted when they wanted. Now they're losing out to the likes of us. It's a sad time. Well, it's a sad time for us. It's a great time for you guys. That's very true, Kenny, isn't it? I mean, it was the old saying, when Arsenal knock on the door, it's a different kind of knock.
It's a myth. It's kind of a bit of a myth, really, because there have been times when we have, in the last few years, we were linked with Eden Hazard to the extent that we were told for a few months, maybe a couple of years, that this is the player we really, really want, and everyone, Arsenal fans, we're watching Hazard at Lille alongside Joe Cole and Gervinho, who Hazard says is the best player he's ever played with, and we're all looking at him. And then in the end, Chelsea take him. There was Jovetic as well that we were looking at, where we know there was talks, and then he went to Man City. So there's a lot of things where Arsenal are very good at scouting players for different clubs. So when people say it's a different knock when Arsenal come, oh yeah, they do answer the door. But what's happened is that other clubs are very good at monitoring Arsenal targets, or maybe they're also monitoring Arsenal targets, and they say, well, yeah, Arsenal's a big club, and they're probably bigger than tradition, but we're winning trophies. But we're about right now. We're winning trophies right now. We're winning the league right now. We want to make sure that we get you a championship medal. We're going to make sure we get you a European Cup winners medal. That's where we are. Arsenal, maybe they say, well, Arsenal's a club that's in development, and they got a process. And I think that's the situation with. If you look at our rivals, they're all buying players for today and tomorrow. Not tomorrow, today. No future, nothing. And that's where we lack at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, there's a good point here from Nino 1983. Spurs now in for Tielemans. Are they just taking the piss out of us now? Well, let's be honest. Let's get on to that Tielemans thing, because we've been heavily linked with this fella for quite a while. Yeah. And now apparently our interest has faded. I mean, why?
Well, again, it's the whole situation is that you're hearing various information from different sources. Like last season, even when the season was going on very strong, there was always a situation about, will Tielemans sign a contract extension at Leicester? No, he won't sign a contract extension at Leicester. He's got a year at Leicester. He doesn't want to sign another contract because he's looking to come to a club. We're hearing, the media saying it seems to be Arsenal, blah, blah, and it'll be Tielemans is coming to Arsenal. And all of a sudden, that goes a bit quiet. We buy Fabio Vieira, and then we're hearing, noises from various sources that Arsenal have ended their interest in the player. And then this weekend, we're hearing that the interest is still there. Personal terms have already been agreed, but it's all about negotiations. It's all about negotiations. Just get the player. If you really, really need the player, and let's face it now, let's just, cut the ribbon, cut the cord, as they say. People, seem to look at, our situation at right back, left back, and they also look at our situation regarding our forwards. And they think that the forwards positions are most important part of the football field, and they are, because it's the kind of glory position. It's the Ken to Barbie. The guy gets the grow, or the prince who puts the slipper on Cinderella's foot. Gets all the glory. But if you don't have a strong midfield, you ain't winning any football matches.
No.
You look at the reason why Liverpool are able to challenge Man City, because their midfield is massively strong, and that enables them, the engine, to run down the flanks of their fullbacks and within their front three. And that's one of the areas where Arsenal seriously have to sort it out. The midfield is so lopsided. It's unbelievable. Partey, if he gets injured, it's a mess. We don't like Xhaka, it seems. We do, or I rephrase it, we're very divided about Granit Xhaka. People who like the fact that he has some sort of leadership qualities, and the fact that he's got international experience. They say he's our midfield, and because he plays from deep, and he's a deep line sort of midfield creator. But the fact is, one of the Granit Xhaka's strengths are also our weaknesses. Like, Granit Xhaka has got the football intelligence to go into left back and cover for, like Kieran Tierney, and before that was Saka, if he was out of position. He's the sort of person who would, try and protect the back four, because he knows what he do. Tactically, he's very, very good. But it's all well and good knowing what to do, but not being able to do it. Counter-attack. Wow. Granit Xhaka on the counter-attack hasn't got the mobility. He hasn't got the athleticism. He's a fit player, but is he quick? No. He is, and that's the problem. He will give away free because he hasn't got the mobility, he hasn't got the engine. The other thing as well is that even at left back, he will get roasted. So my argument has always been with Granit is, I get where you're coming from, mate, and I get that you are rated, but in that position we need two sorts of midfielders, which you're not. We want a complete midfielder, which we feel that Tielemans is. Hence the fact we need him badly. Or we wanted someone who's got the athleticism to interchange positions with Partey, which is why we were really gutted that Basuma went to Tottenham. Tielemans is another player we definitely need, because you can play Partey, you can play Mine Odegaard, you can say, right, this is my boss in midfield, and that way Partey can, or maybe him and Partey can take turns of being the boss in midfield. But the midfield is rubbish. It's not great, because you look at, and I say it without any sort of like controversy, it's just facts. That I can say with great, like I said, punity, that cost us the top four in the midfield. Break the fact that Partey got taken out, the fact he looked lopsided was poor. In a lot of the games, if you look at the games that we played, even the games we won, the fact that we had a lopsided midfield showed in the games against Chelsea, Man United, West and West Ham, those sort of games when we went on a run. That showed, and we kind of, and Leeds as well. But when we played Spurs and Newcastle, it was all there, and that's what cost us. Our midfield just got overrun. Overrun in those games, and even before, we went on that sort of like revival or renaissance. We lost 3 games in a row, and midfield got ruined. Ruined at the place. And we played Brighton, and we played Xhaka left back. Got absolutely destroyed. In fact, it wasn't a midfield. So that's an area that Mikel has to look at. He can't get away from that.
So, sorry, mate.
No.
If Tielemans, if we are heavily that heavy, I mean, we've agreed personal terms, and he's happy with those personal terms, then if we need this player, which we clearly do, let's do the business.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing, Chase. That's the thing. They're clearly haggling about the fact he's in his final year. If that's the case, if you read between the lines, because Leicester will think, hang on here. Arsenal probably saying, right, if he signed a massive contract, then you'll probably going to value him at 60 million. But if he's in the last year's contract, why you value him at such and such? Because I'm only pulling that figure out of the sky, say 60 million. Are Arsenal doing the Arsenal thing and saying, well, hang on, he's the last year of his contract? No. I mean, are we going to do the Gary Cahills? Remember the Gary Cahill? Yeah. Remember that time? Remember that time? 10 years ago, when Gary Cahill was at Bolton. We knew he was in the last year of his contract. Bolton wanted more money. We offered 6 million. Arsenal said, Bolton told us to get lost. And then in January, when he's in the last 6 months of his contract, Chelsea offered 6 million and he goes.
Yeah. No.
when if Arsenal offered him what Bolton wanted, we would have had him. But then again, Gary Cahill's not complaining. He won a lot at Chelsea, didn't he? 2 league titles and the Champions League. But it's just that kind of example. Last year, your contract, the clubs will have evaluation because he's an experienced player. They want money to replace the lad. And Arsenal have agreed personal terms, but they're not thinking, hang on here, let's haggle over that last year of his contract, which clubs will try it on. Other clubs who really want him will pay that valuation. So could be that. No proof, but going by our experience and what we've seen over the last over 50 years and me, in my 40 years of watching the club, it's clear to me that there has to be some sort of haggling going on. So
I don't doubt that. Doubt that. And I just Darren Sullivan's point here. Darren's on with me on Thursday night. We're going to talk about the good old Gooner days.
Looking forward to seeing that. Hey, then, Darren, you all right, mate?
The good, the bad, and the ugly, as I've called it. He's got a good point here. American business owners will want to entertain their customers. Part of their strategy is to keep you in the edge of your seat, and delaying transfer is part of the psychological game. Yeah, I don't agree with that.
Yeah, I think he's talking about the Jesus situation as well. It's all about production, in it, a show, something where we go. They play them, background music, have the sort of like the cinematic situation, blacked out cars, driving all around, coming down from Ali Pali, seeing the hills where you can see one part of Ali Pali. You can see Spurs' grounds. If you go to the end of Ali Pali, where all the monuments and the cafe is, and you go down the other side of the Ali Pali, where you get the W3, you can see Arsenal's grounds. All that sort of thing. We've all done this. We've all seen this, and then they'll probably drive all the way down from the Ali Pali into, like the back of Fuji Park, and come all the way to Emirates. He gets out the car, we see his feet, and then he walks out the stadium, and boom, here you are, Gabriel Jesus. Probably, saying a few things. Yeah, I think that's probably what's going to happen. That's probably they've already filmed it, because we know they've already filmed it, because we've seen him walking around Arsenal. It's him, isn't it? Yeah. So it's the production's over. Everyone's it all. Everyone's got their money, and it's all about releasing the video or the telecast.
Well, are you going to watch the All or Nothing show?
You mean Good for Nothing? Not a chance we're going to watch it. Good for Nothing, no. I don't know. What did we win? It's a reek of hypocrisy, isn't it? They always say that podcasters are people who embarrass the club. A lot of people have, in some cases, rightly or wrongly, we feel sometimes rightly that, the fan cams, the biggest fan cam of them all, regarding the club, are rated as embarrassing because of the fact that they're putting the club out there. Well, what aren't the club doing it themselves? This, they call it All for Nothing. It's just another money maker for the football club. They've seen Spurs do it, they've seen Man City do it, and everyone else do it. It's a trend now in football, all about money making, and dare I say, people venting their spleen. I haven't seen the clips. I don't want to watch it. I don't know what's in it, but I could. But the fact is that if any money they make from that, let them use it towards finding new players. But I don't really like documentaries like that, because it's not telling us anything we don't know. We know what happened. You know,
Yeah.
we finished 5th last season. We know we played absolutely poorly first 3 games of the season, and it's hence the fact we lost them. And we know we made some sort of rival, and we know we had 1 game a week, and we failed. We failed.
Yeah.
It was a disaster the season. You know, we know, and the fact is, it's made by the club for the club. So basically, the club do have their own sort of established fans. Like whilst the fan camps have their clique of people who, you know, YouTubers or what become YouTubers, like who lol pays. The club, you know, have you know, the two lads and their grandmother, plus a few people, you know, some your posh people here and there, and it'll be them who will be giving their opinions in the club. They're not going to go and, you know, they may use the fan camps, they may not, but it's not going to tell you anything new, not at all.
No.
It's just no doubt. I think what's happening is that I'm sure any podcaster is probably going to think, right, I'm a bit bored now. Rather than talk about the match, I'll do an hour's pod on them, what they saw on them Arsenal All or Nothing channel, and no doubt it won't just be the Arsenal ones doing it. It'll be Terence, you know, from Football Terrace. I'm sure he'll be you know, making a few shows. That's easy money for Terence. I'm sure even the Chelsea podcasters who seem to be obsessed with Arsenal, they'll do it as well, because it's all about the views. But you ain't seen anything new. Don't waste your money on time watching garbage. That's garbage.
Yeah. So a couple of comments here. Martin Colton, afternoon, Jez and Kenny. Hope you're well, chaps. Yeah, all good, man. All good.
We're all good. We're all good.
And Luke, big up yourself, Jez and Kenny. Proper real ones. Well, we try to be, mate. We do try to be.
You have to be. Jez, you have to be, because I think what's happening is that people see through you. You know, people see through you. You know. Don't get me wrong. Everyone who watches you know, YouTube or in social media, you know, they'll watch you for a reason. Some people want to be entertained. They want to see you put on an act, you know, and that's great. You know, let's remember that the fan cams have people who watch the fan cams because they want entertainment. They don't particularly care whether we lose, win or draw. They prefer we lose or draw drawing against a team that we should beat, because that's entertainment. Preferably fans from other clubs will want to watch that to see the anger, the steaming coming out of people's ears. So yeah, that's entertainment. But you know, there's other podcasts where people just want people to, you know, show how eloquent they speak, how articulate they are, and how level-headed they are. And others just want real talk. You know, everyone watches podcasts for different reasons.
Yeah. Let's go to this comment here. It's quite funny. Bobby Olmsted says, "Did you hear that Adam Brown, Lee's stalker, is locked up in Dubai prison for drug dealing?" Oh dear, that's a death penalty there, isn't it?
Is it the lad from Wales?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
No, I think it's the lad from Wales. Well, I wouldn't wish him anything. I wish him all well, because you know, he's a very, very angry man. You know, he seems to be obsessed about one person, and you know, for someone who supports Cardiff City, he's very obsessed with everything to do about Arsenal. But then again, you know, if you're a podcaster, in regards to who you support, the podcasts you invariably going to be watching, the Arsenal podcasts and the Man United podcasts.
Wales.
Bobby yes, right. You're going to be watching the Man United podcast, the Arsenal podcast, for the simple reason is that people, rightly or wrongly, see Arsenal and Man United as two fallen giants.
Yeah,
so
they're
going to see very angry fans and people shouting the odds, you know, and that's the thing. If you want to get views, pop over to the Man United and Arsenal channels. It seems for, you know, people from other clubs, including Mr. Brand.
Before we wrap this up, Kenny, let's talk about Serge Gnabry. There's lots and lots and lots and lots of people, you know, oh, we've got to get him back, we've got to do this. You know, he's in his last year of his contract at Bayern. Do you honestly believe that Arsenal would go in for him, mate?
Well, that's the thing. I don't see any reason why not. Because the simple reason is that, you know, there seems to be an obsession with a lot of Arsenal fans with, you know, Smith Rowe, Saka, Martinelli, that, you know, they're a core players and let's not break them up. So that means any player comes in who may be better than them, we shouldn't be signing. Or anyone who can give them a run for the money for the place we should be signing. Serge Gnabry, I can categorically say, is better than Martinelli.
Oh, all day.
Martinelli is one for the future, but we're not about the future. We're about right now. He will easily slot into our football team, easily slot into the left, on the left-hand side, inverted winger, and he'll easily, you know, we can keep Saka fit. That'd be a more potent front three of, you know, we know it's going to be Jesus if when this cinema like production happens. We know it's going to be Saka, Jesus, and my guy Gnabry. I would have loved it to be Raphinha, Jesus, and Saka on the left. But if it's my guy, then let's go for it. But again, we're hearing the same old thing. Maybe another club being for him. Maybe Man City being for him because they're getting rid of Sterling, because it looks like Sterling is coming back to West London. Because you know. He left QPR at 15. Now, 12 years later, it looks like he's coming back to West London, because Chelsea seems to have been in discussions with him, because you know the new owners wants to do an Abramovich and said, "Look at me, look what I'm doing." That bloody guy wants to be like the director of football, the contract negotiator, but he's got rid of all of those guys, isn't he? He wants to do it all himself. Good luck with that, mate. But in terms of like Gnabry, as a player, I do have the odd reservation, and I mentioned that at Northside, in that sometimes when you get a player coming back to a club, it doesn't always work out because everything's different about the club. You know, invariably it's a different manager. You know, the style of play is probably different from what you've been used to when you left the club, and you know it doesn't always work. Despite the fact that you had an excellent time at Bayern. You still, you know, you're part of the squad and you're doing really well for your national side, Germany. But if we go by what we know about the player, we know that a front three that involves him, Saka, and we know it's going to be Jesus, will be a lot stronger than a front three of Saka, Eddie, Martinelli. And that's not no just about Martinelli. You know, Martinelli fought for his place last season, got the starting berth. He can try and do it again. You know, there has to be competition for places at Arsenal. You know,
it's not big money, is it?
That's not the big money. Again, he's one of another player that's in the last year of his contract. So again, how much does Arsenal want a player? How much does Arteta actually want him? Because if you look at if you look at clubs nowadays, when it goes well, the manager will take all the credit. The player comes to the club. But when it doesn't go well, the manager will say, "Well, actually, it's not. I didn't really want him. It was actually signed behind our back, and he was presented for me, so I had to work with it, and we had to change our style, to accommodate him." Look at Cristiano Ronaldo at Man United. So again, does Mikel Arteta want Gnabry? Does Mikel Arteta want Raphinha? Does he want these players? Because we've seen how it worked out with Pepe when Unai Emery wasn't keen because he wanted Zaha, and we've clearly, without any prejudice, any stirring the porridge, as people would say, or any troubleshooting, Arteta does not want Pepe in his first 11. He doesn't like Pepe off the ball. So again, Gnabry. Does Mikel Arteta really want him? Does Mikel Arteta really want these players we're linked with? Because at the end of the day, he's part of that transfer committee.
Yeah.
Let's not forget, the transfer committee involves himself, Josh, Vinay, Edu, and Per Mertesacker.
Yeah, good point.
So all of them. So how, if we if we're asking about all the other players like Martinez, Rafinha, and we're talking about, Serge Gnabry right now, and obviously, Tielemans, just how much does Mick Arteta want to play, and how much does he want to improve our team? Because I'll tell you one thing, the team's got holes in it. We may start off well. We may beat Crystal Palace. We may beat Leicester. We might beat Bournemouth. Because on paper we're not playing in the big sides, are we?
No.
For the first 5 games, so we may come through those games quite comfortably, and everyone think everything's rose in the garden. But you can beat all those teams, but when it comes to the nitty gritty, where teams are fresh or teams are very organised and are very well coached, that midfield is going to let us down. That front three hasn't got enough goals in it. So again, if we go the way we're going to go, there's going to be times we're going to go on a good run. There's going to be times we're going to be inconsistent, and that will cost us the top 4. That may even cost us the Europa League. So if Arteta doesn't improve this squad, then he's got a massive, massive problem over the next 38 games, and his job's on the line. So how much does he want his job?
Well, that's a very good, very, very good point. And my last question was going to be, Kenny, what has Arteta next season got to do to stay? What's your view on that?
Simple. It's easy. Win a trophy. Get us in the top 4, and don't get us straight forward, and start playing winning football and start beating the big teams. That will keep him a job. And that'll stop me from slagging him off.
Yeah.
But if he doesn't win a trophy, he doesn't get the top 4, and it doesn't look like he's going to get the top 4, then he has to be fired immediately, because that's it. His time is up. He's had his 3 years.
Yeah.
Probably 3 years than he should have got. In my opinion, 2 years than he should have got. It's not working.
No.
He's had all the backing of the fans, not from us, but from the majority of the fans. He's lucky with COVID, because let's face it, when we came back last season, everyone was loving each other, hugging each other, because we haven't seen each other for 18 months. Everyone was just glad to watch their football. What do football fans do when they're happy? Back the club and love the positive vibes of just being at the football club, even though the results the season before were horrendous. So he's had that backing. He's had financial backing, massive financial backing. Also, the most important thing he's had, which is probably more important than the backing of the fans and the financial backing, is the ability to be in complete control over footballing matters, complete control over who stays at a club and the character of the team. I do not want anyone who's poisonous around my group. If they're poisonous, I get rid of them. He's been backed in that. So he's got no excuses. It's his team. It's his team with his own DNA. And if things don't work, then it's on him. He chose the players. He's part of the transfer committee, which means he would have had a say on who we come in. No player will be forced upon him, because he's not the head coach. He's a team manager. So there's no excuses. You know what I mean? The excuse menu ran out in his first season when we finished 8th. First full season when we finished 8th. It should have run out when we didn't get the top 4. He's a very lucky man to be in this job.
He is. He is.
I mean, if this was Liverpool, out. Chelsea, out. City, out. Manchester United, out. Tottenham, out. Doesn't matter. Out. Even Everton. Everton, if they were spending this kind of money, would have probably said thanks, but no thanks. He'd be gone.
Yeah. Anyway, Kenny, let's wrap it up. Where can we find you, man?
You can find me on Instagram at KennyKen1972. If you want to follow me on Twitter, fine, but I don't really do much on Twitter at all. But Instagram, if you want some fun, and real discussions, I will reply to your direct DMs. I will put content out there, especially on my Instagram story. So there's going to be loads of content from me. It's just going to be about boxing, football. and it's going to be. And I'm not going to stop. I'll put about 10 stories a day for you guys, for your entertainment. So please join me on Instagram at KennyKen1972. On Twitter, I don't say too much because Twitter's no more fun. It's too woke. Everyone doesn't like blunt speaking, and I certainly do not like anyone who says anything derogatory towards Mick Arteta. So Instagram is the place for all of you.
I'm just going to answer this comment. Some little wanker here called Birdie Cam. Leave you to us youngsters, you old twat. Well, let me answer you there. If you knew 5% of what I know about this football club and what Kenny knows, then, well done. You know shit. You're like a little prat who sits in a back room with your curtains shut, stuck to your bed sheets. So what I'm going to say to you is don't come out. Don't ever go to a football match because you'll be shitting yourself. And thanks for watching because that helps the algorithm. If you don't like it, fuck off. Simple as that.
Well, one thing I've got to say to him, that guy thought he was going to go on a Barbie, didn't he? That pork chop thought he was going on a Barbie, mate. For that comment, you're staying in the freezer. There's no way you're getting promoted. Your other friends got a bit of a mention, but you, I've forgotten your name already. You're staying right in the freezer, you pork chop. That's where you belong. That's where you're going to stay. There's no way you're good enough to go on the Barbie.
No. Kenny, thanks for coming on, man. Sorry you had issues at the start.
No, it was my issues, not yours.
That's Safari, man. I've had I don't use it hardly ever.
No, I've always used. For some reason, it messed up. But the minute I changed it, went back to to Chrome, it's all good as gold. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. All right, mate. For everybody, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. Just a brief chat about what is Arsenal going to do. And I think Kenny has summed it up. And I still have great concerns of what's going to happen with Arsenal in this transfer window. But apparently, certain top person out there, I'll mention no names, has said, I can't even remember his name now, has said that this is a golden transfer period for Edu. Well, no, I think it's rustly myself.
Jess, can I ask you something?
Sure.
Are you gonna go on do what another podcaster did and get the Arsenal photographer on? Because apparently the Arsenal photographer, who takes photographs, only seems to have so much knowledge about this great club. I mean, he's not a coach. He's not an ex-player. I'm not sure he's a fan. He just takes photographs. But apparently, he's managed to trouser 250,000 Twitter followers. I don't know how many he's got on Instagrams. And he must be laughing his head off, scratching his head, laughing his head all the way, telling his mates, I'm only a photographer. These pork chops think of such value. Of course I'm going to go on their podcast and say something. It's not my fault. It's not my fault. They don't know that I know sweet FA about football. I just take photographs.
I know. It's laughable, man.
Good.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining in the chat. I might do a show probably Tuesday night. But Thursday night, Darren Sullivan's coming on. That should be quite a fun show, actually. Talk about our experiences at games back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and all that sort of claver. And if you want to jump on with us, Kenny, you're more than welcome. It's up to you. I won't be about on Thursday, but if you're doing it with Tuesday, of course I'd love to be part of that. But Darren, I'll be looking forward to watching you again. It was great. We had a great experience 2 weeks ago with myself and our lovely friend Gracie May, who's been brilliant, and she's been real fine on Twitter, not so on Twitter, on YouTube, and obviously Northside had a great experience with him on Thursday as well. So, the fact is I've really enjoyed myself with yourself, Darren, on that show with Jez. Also Warren as well. I've really had some good times with you. And most importantly, let's give a shout out to the Aussie Gooner and Bosher, United fan, and also Marty
He's from Epping Forest, but he's now a fully fledged Australian. He's a Spurs fan. So these are people that I've had some really great fun in the last few months. And let's not forget Premier Hotspur channel as well. Hotspur TV, he's been good to me, Spurs fan. And Arsenal Alex, can't forget you. You've been good as well. So good luck with everything you guys do in the next few over the season. I'm sure you've got a lot of material to work with.
Nice, thanks, Kenny, for once again coming on, man. And as always, Arteta out.
Oh, always out and pack your bags. Go back to Manchester.
Cheers, guys.
See ya.